I've been thinking about Sandra, our maid, who I talked about in the last video, not last, but several videos ago, how much I loved her. And I know she loved me, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Sandra. So she didn't really speak English, and at the time my Spanish was woefully inadequate. I mean, we could communicate, but it wasn't nearly what it is today, thank goodness. But she loved us with her service to us, and we loved her by paying her well and giving her nice bonuses at Christmas. We didn't pay her enough, but I wasn't in charge of the finances. And this is a common misconception, right? I'm living in this great, big, beautiful house that I built, but Ben controlled the money. Ben controlled the money. And even if I made little purchases at Target for myself, like clothes or makeup or something, I was always confronted. What did you buy at Target? And he painted me as this spendthrift because I would occasionally buy things for myself at Target. Anyway, so one day, so in the midst of me going through this really awful stuff that was happening to me that I wasn't telling anyone about, except people that I thought could help me. And Sandra showed up at our house with this younger woman, who spoke English fluently. And then she proceeded, just out of the blue, and then she proceeded to tell me that she'd been having really bad dreams, warning dreams about me and about Ben. And that she had brought this woman to exorcise some demons that were assaulting me and Ben. And I was, at that point, I'm looking for help in whatever places I can find, and I was impressed that she knew something was happening to me because I wasn't telling her, and interested also that she thought something was happening to Ben. He wasn't there, so but I was like, sure, let's try it. Maybe that'll work. Let's do it. And so in this very interesting ceremony, this younger woman, with Sandra's just standing by, lovingly concerned for me, performed this exorcism on me, which did nothing at all, unfortunately. But it was interesting. And how did she know? And she also said I needed to start coming to her church. So out of love for her, I did go to her church once. And it was interesting. I'm an outsider looking on, and it was kind of sad, right? Because I'm looking around at it was huge. It's a huge church. I don't know if it was if you would call it a mega church. It took place in a kind of a rented out building in Emeryville. But it was filled with people, hundreds of people, mostly, Latina, South Americans, but just so many people. And I was looking around and listening to this nonsense, and mostly I was sad because these were probably good people who wanted to do good in the world, and instead they were being, brainwashed with lies. I didn't know then, I didn't see it as clearly then as I do now, how evil Christianity is, how much it is not in the interest of humanity for there to be Christians. It's just a lie, and it's a manipulating, brainwashing lie. I didn't see that then. And then there's another story I want to tell about Sandra. At one point, and this is when I was going through the divorce with Ben, horrific as that was. At one point, she came to present to me, and again without warning, right? Because she doesn't speak English. So just one day when she was there to clean, she sat me down and she showed me all these pictures of a little niece of hers back in El Salvador who was very ill and needed money, needed help. And I couldn't tell her, and partly I think I couldn't acknowledge it even to myself, that I don't really have control of the purse strings. Ben does. I'm living in this great big beautiful house. I'm taking care of it, etc. But Ben controls the purse strings. So I couldn't help her and her little niece as desperately as I wanted to. Luckily, she pulled through. She got better. But I felt so bad because I don't know that Sandra knew. I wasn't rejecting helping her. I simply couldn't because, and this is true for so many women, because I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of Christian women, especially white women, who are in these big, beautiful houses. And people think they're rich. But they have no control over the finances. They are slaves in their own home. And often, like me, they are confronted for whatever purchases they have to make for the household, but that the man, the enslaver, doesn't know or understand all the things that the woman understands and knows because she's managing the household and just is constantly throwing up roadblocks to the purchases she needs to make for the household, for the kids, to make things run well. I know there's a lot of women out there who are relating to this. We are enslaved. As things stand now, when you are married, you are enslaved. And if you are living in some big fancy house, that doesn't mean you're not a slave. And marriage laws don't protect us. They're frauds. No one should be getting married to a man right now. It is way too dangerous financially and every other way. Not to mention, it's better to be dead than to be a slave.